We are live. We have some good things to go and do in this live stream. Let's make it big, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in the UFC's middleweight division. All right, let's get it going. Alright guys, so, let me see, what do we got in this one? We have Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman versus Leon Edwards 3, the trilogy betting breakdown and prediction video. Probably do that one at the end after the MMA news. That is also what we're going to do, is a lot of MMA news. When I say a lot of MMA news, I do think I mean a lot of MMA news. We got the UFC 286 predictions and betting breakdown video. Every single fight on the card, we're going to look at the bets I think could have some good value on it. Possible parlay pieces, props to do, underdogs to do. Speaking of underdogs, we also have the UFC 286 underdog of the card video. If you're watching live, you are a channel member and you get the early access to these live streams. If you're watching after, well, you're not a channel member and you're getting it a little bit late. But let's get into it. We're going to I'll probably start with a betting breakdown, as that is the thumbnail of this live stream. So let's get into it. Go on to the best fight odds in the UFC's welterweight division. UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. Full card betting breakdown. My favorite bets to make at UFC 286. Possible parlay pieces. Some props you might be thinking about. Some dog bets. Some good money line bets as well. Where I think you can actually find some value at UFC 286, given that there are a lot of big favorites like Marvin Vettori, Gunnar Nelson, Jack Shore, Muhammad Mokaev, Jake Hadley, Christian Leroy Duncan, Juliana Miller. There's a lot of very big favorites on this UFC 286 pay-per-view, so we're going to go through this entire card bottom to top and look at some of the fights we can be betting on and make some money this weekend. So check the description down below. I probably am going to put the timestamps to where I'm actually going to be doing the betting breakdown for every single one of the fights. Like and subscribe. Let's get into the first one. Veronica Macedo and Juliana Miller in the UFC's flyweight division. I do have Juliana Miller winning this fight, fairly easily. She should be able to take the fight down and most likely be able to finish Veronica Macedo there with a ground and pound TKO or with a submission. Now, the last fight she had with Brogan Walker, I did believe she was going to get the submission win in that fight or the decision win in that fight. She was very close to getting that decision win, and then she got the TKO. So, obviously, the TKO is going to have a lot of value. Plus 500 odds for Juliana Miller to get the TKO when she's coming off of a TKO win in her previous fight. That is very, very valuable in my opinion. Now, do I think she'll get the TKO? No, it's a valuable bet though, to put like a few dollars on. What I do think she's going to get is the submission in this fight, but the submission really doesn't have much value at plus 175. When the odds started out, dude, for sure I am putting a unit, half a unit, somewhere around that range on Juliana Miller by submission. I didn't see it before the odds started dropping, and they really started dropping, and now there's really no value on Juliana Miller by submission. So if you're going to do a prop bet right there, Miller by TKO, little sprinkles. The only thing that really has value on that one, because as of right now, Miller inside the distance KO or a submission isn't really there. If it was plus money, plus 150 like it was at the start, plus 135, plus 120, plus 110, I think those are all valuable. Anything plus money for Juliana Miller to get the finish, I do believe has some very, very solid value. But now it's minus money and really not enough there for me to go out there and put a decent amount of money on Juliana Miller at minus 130. That's just not enough for me to go out there in the morning and actually put money on it, in my opinion. So as of right now, according to the betting odds, that plus 500 Miller by TKO is probably the best thing. Or, if they're out yet, a Miller submission early on in the fight. If he's going to get the submission, I would expect it to be earlier on. Miller submission round 1 plus 600 is very possible. But only thing I'd be looking to maybe put a little bit of money on will be that plus 500 TKO prop. For a parlay, minus 500, minus 450. I'm going to be honest, really just is not that much value for Juliana Miller to go out there and beat Veronica. Not Macedo, but Hardy now. So I do have Veronica Macedo losing, but only thing you do is going to be that TKO. Next fight, we have Jai Herbert and Ludovic Klein. In the lightweight division, like I said in the prediction, I have Ludovic Klein winning this one by a close decision. So, what do you think I'm going to say? Ludovic Klein by decision is a very, very decent bet on the betting odds right here, because plus 150 Klein inside the distance. You really want to put a serious amount of money on that? I really do not. Klein inside the distance, there's really nothing there. Plus 150 for inside the distance, yeah, that's definitely not a worthwhile bet. If you're going to do it inside the distance, when you got to do the KO TKO, that's at plus 225. Even that isn't enough value in my opinion, when Klein by decision is also at plus 225. And most likely, once we get some of the other bookies involved, you get plus 250, even up to plus 300. I think high plus 200s, even in the plus 300s, is going to have value for Ludovic Klein, and that's really all I would do. I wouldn't do any scorecards, no action, or anything like that. Wouldn't do any round props over 2.5. Fight goes to a decision, doesn't. Only real thing I like here is going to be Klein by decision once the odds come out for the other bookies. That's about it. Next fight, we have Joanne Wood and Luana Carolina. Now, Joanne Wood's odds just straight off the bat, if you can get her minus 160, minus 150, which they're not at right now, but I'm saying if the odds do get to that again, because they were actually there earlier on in the week, if they do get there again, she might have some value on the money line, the decision, over 2.5. No, they do not have any freaking value. No, we're not putting any money on any of those ones. Wood isn't necessarily the finisher of this flyweight division. She doesn't really go out there with the intention to finish every single fight. The last time she got a finish 5 freaking years ago against Kalindra Faria. Ladies and gentlemen, she's not getting the finish, but no, I do not want to risk minus 300 on a mid-level women's MMA fight. Now, Wood by decision is minus 130, but you can see minus 130 to minus 175. You know, there's really no difference there. And I'm going to be dead honest with you, there's nothing for this fight. I've looked at all the props. I've looked at all the round props. The inside the distance, scorecards, no action. Both of them winning by decision. Maybe the inside the distances, the over 2.5s, the under 2.5. There's really nothing there for this fight. Unless we get better odds on Joanne Wood later on in the week, there's nothing there. There really is nothing there. This is not a fight you're going to want to bet. For UFC 286, pass. Next one, Jake Hadley and Malcolm Gordon in the flyweight division, 26.5 years old. I do have Jake Hadley winning, but goddamn, minus 3 whatever, even minus 400 I think I saw on a few of these bookies. No, I mean, come on. No, we're not doing minus 400. He's not an 80% favorite over Malcolm Gordon, who realistically had a very close fight in his last opponent against Mohamed Mokaev. So no, ladies and gentlemen, do I think Malcolm Gordon it should be a 4-1 underdog. So the bets to make are fight goes to a decision right here at plus 185. That's very, very valuable. I don't see Jake Hadley getting finished. Because the man did not get finished against freaking Alan Nascimento, who's a lot better than Malcolm Gordon. He didn't get finished by him. He did get kind of dominated in the fight, but I don't see him getting finished in that one. And Hadley doesn't really have that crazy power on the feet to knock him out. And it took Muhammad Mokaev barely to the end to get the finish, and Amir Albazi got the finish. I don't believe he's going to get submitted by Jake Hadley like Hadley was able to submit Carlos Candelario in the last fight. I do believe plus 185 has relatively good value. Relatively good value. It's a flyweight fight. Minus 190 for Hadley inside the distance. It might as well. It might happen. There's a very good shot that does happen. But is it a valuable bet? No, it is not. Minus 190 is absolutely insane. That should be plus 150, plus 160. With Hadley by decision being plus 200, plus 300. Whereas Hadley decision is at plus 400 right there. And people are not betting it. It is going up and up and up and up and up. So, only thing you're going to want to do here is either fight goes to a decision if you're worried about the underdog cashing in Malcolm Gordon. And I'm telling you, Malcolm Gordon is one of those underdogs where he wins a lot of the times that he is an underdog. He's a good underdog. And at plus 300, I wouldn't want to risk putting Jake Hadley in a parlay, and I don't really have the balls to go Gordon by decision right there either. So I might put a little sprinkle on Hadley wins by decision, plus 400. That's value enough right there. It should be plus 200 in my opinion. And then a little bit on fight goes to a decision, just in case we get that underdog win for my guy Malcolm Gordon. But decisions on this fight are all you really need to look at. It might not happen. You never know. But, I mean, those odds are crazy in my opinion. Hadley's scorecards, no action, should not be that high. So, obviously, we're not doing anything with that. The round props, nope. Decision on that one. It might be a finish. I could be totally wrong, and Jake Hadley goes out there and gets an easy finish. But for what I'm thinking, watching the Muhammad Mokaev fight should go all the way, in my opinion. Next fight, if we can go to it, in the middleweight division, Christian Leroy Duncan and Dusko Todorovic in the middleweight division. Now, I do believe Christian Leroy Duncan could be a parlay piece. Possibly, if you sprinkle him with like two other like solid guys, or with one other guy and like a prop bet or something like that, you could possibly find a way to make Christian Leroy Duncan a good parlay piece. I think he's pretty solid at the odds you have him at. Minus 200, 205, 210, whatever the case may be. All are pretty okay odds in my opinion for Christian Leroy Duncan as a parlay piece. In the props, Duncan by TKO is not the move. You might think that's the move. That's not the move. Duncan by submission, that is the move. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, why would I go Duncan by submission if the man is getting TKO after a TKO after a TKO and only has one submission win as an MMA fighter by rear naked choke submission? Well, like I said in my prediction video, he's very explosive on the feet, has very good power, spinning back kicks, flying knees, spinning elbows and punches. Crazy stuff landed from Christian Leroy Duncan. Now, Dusko Todorovic, this guy, he gets rocked a lot in his fights, but he doesn't go down usually on the first shot. Chidi Njokuani was able to do it. Gregory hurt him a few times. And Punahele, it took him a lot of shots before Punahele Soriano was able to go out there and actually put him away. So my thought is, even though he's never been submitted and Christian Leroy Duncan only has one submission win on his record, if he's able to hurt Dusko Todorovic on the feet, get the fight to the ground, there's a solid shot he could go out there and get a submission. And look, money's already coming in on Duncan by submission because there is value on it. Plus 900 now to plus 750. I think anything plus 600 or better is value on Christian Leroy Duncan. Do I think he gets the TKO? Yes. That is my prediction. I'm not betting plus 115 on that. No, I'm not doing that. But plus 750 for the submission? Yeah, I might do that. I very, very well might do that indeed. And Duncan at minus 200 on the scorecards, no action. I do like that as well. A little sprinkle on that. I would wait for it because I'm assuming it might get to the minus 1 blank. 190, 170, 180 range on the scorecards, no action on some of the other bookies. So that could have some value as well. But the submission is probably the most valuable thing you can do with Christian Leroy Duncan. Might not happen. It's not something you're putting a unit or two on. You're just sprinkling like a quarter unit, a tenth of a unit, 2/10 a unit, whatever the case may be. But yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan, submission prop, very solid. Lerone Murphy and Gabriel Santos. I do have Lerone winning the fight, but his odds aren't really getting better day by day. Started minus 275. I would have underdogged at that point. Then it went up to minus 155. At that point, it was a no bet. Then it went down to minus 200, and that's where you there's kind of a little bit of value on the underdog there at that point on Gabriel Santos. But now at minus 183, it's kind of back in that realm where there's not really much I want to do with either side. With the favorite or the underdog, I believe the odds are right where they should be for the money line. So personally, I kind of stay away from that. Minus 120 for fight goes to a decision is iffy. I think it is kind of a 50-50 to go to a decision, not to go to a decision, whatever the case may be. I don't see either guy really getting finished, if I'm being quite honest with you. I don't see either guy getting finished. And Murphy, minus 120 scorecards, no action. I don't really care. I don't really see either guy getting KO, TKO submitted in this fight, although it is very, very possible. I don't want to really risk the minus 120, so I'm gonna be honest. Lerone Murphy and Gabriel Santos. I don't really like what I'm seeing on the money line. I kind of see the odds on the fight goes to a decision, doesn't go to a decision, as being right where they should be. So there's not really enough value there for me to bet. I think it's a pass fight. I do think Lerone Murphy, Gabriel Santos is going to be a little bit of a pass fight there. I wouldn't really do anything with that one. Next one, Muhammad Mokaev, Jafel Filio. I already told you, minus 800. Not really anything worth parlaying over. Under 2.5. No. You'd rather just do Mokaev inside the distance, because you get better odds on that one anyway. And Jafel Filio is not going to go out there and finish Muhammad Mokaev. I want to see what the scorecards no action is. Minus 750. It could be a parlay piece. But then again, there is that shoulder injury to worry about, so I take it back. No scorecards, no action. That is a risky bet. Now that I'm thinking about it, Mokaev decision, no. Inside the distance, no. But for the submission, his striking is really not that good. Mokaev doesn't have that high level of striking, so the only thing to do, submission or pass. Plus 100, I do believe more than 50% of the time Mokaev will get the submission on Jafel Filio, so plus 100 is not too shabby. In my opinion, I don't think it'll be in round 3 like last time. It'll probably be in round 1 or in round number 2, so if you want to risk it a little bit, Mokaev submission round 1 at plus 315. Mokaev submission round 2, if I can find that one, at plus 450. Combine them two together on FanDuel or DraftKings, you'll probably get a little bit better than plus 100, as I think the only rounds he gets the submission are in round 1 or round 2, but you never know. That's about all I do. A submission prop or a round 1, round 2 submission prop for Muhammad Mokaev. But the money line is not worth parlaying. Sam Patterson, Yanal Ashmaz. Underdog or pass on the money line. I'm going to say that right now. Goddamn, minus 320 is awful. Absolutely awful. You do not want to be putting money on Sam Patterson. Those are just bad odds. In my opinion there, Patterson inside the distance is minus 110. There's not really any value there either. got to get pretty deep into the plus money for there to be value on Patterson to win by that. Scorecards no action are interesting because Yanala Shmos, if you look at his MMA career, is coming off a decision win, a few TKO wins, and a submission win on Yona Kohana. But I do believe if there's anyone to get a finish here, it definitely would be Sam Patterson, because he did get knocked out in his only pro loss by Hardip Rai. But the man is definitely a finisher with, all but one of his wins being a decision. This might be a pass fight. It's an underdog or pass. I don't like any of the props. Fight goes to a decision, I guess has a little bit of value. Patterson by decision, I guess has a little bit of value. But personally, it's an underdog or pass. Your money line, Yanal Ashmos, with a little bit of money. You're not parlaying Sam Patterson. I'm going to say that right now. Do not put Sam Patterson in a parlay for the love of God. He might win. I do think he wins. Those odds suck. Underdog or pass. The props, I don't really like them. What is the next one? Chris Duncan and Omar Morales in the welterweight division. Now, this is indeed an interesting fight. It is an underdog or pass type of fight, as it is one of those 50-50 years. If you got that plus money on Chris Duncan right there, for sure. Put a little bit of money on him because I do believe he wins. Minus 107, plus 100 right there. Minus 115 is the worst you'll get him at, but for most of these, you're getting them at plus money or barely minus money, which I still think is okay for Chris Duncan. I don't think the fight goes to a decision. I do have Duncan by TKO, which is at plus 210. But I'd rather Duncan scorecards no action, to be honest. If the Duncan scorecards no action were just as close as the money line, I say that would be the bet to make. But I'm going to be honest, it's really just the money line on Chris Duncan or nothing at all. I don't like decision, submission, TKO, scorecards no action. I don't really like any of that. It's really the Chris Duncan money line or pass. That's pretty much it, in my opinion. Jack Shore and Makwan Amirkhani in the featherweight division. I do have Jack Shore getting the finish in the later rounds. So the over 1.5 is interesting because I do believe it will go over 1.5 rounds. It's just, is minus 150 enough value for what a good possibility is? Makwan gets finished earlier than that. I don't know. That's a tough one in my opinion, for sure. A very, very tough one. But if he's going to get the finish, which I do think he will, I think it'll be the submission. They're saying the TKO is more likely, but I think the submission is a little bit more likely in this one. Plus 200 for the submission is very, very solid. Makwan just got TKO'd in his last fight. Got TKO'd by Lerone Murphy. Lost 2 decisions before that. I think if Jack Shore is going to get the finish, it'll be a submission. Even though the fights he's losing are TKOs, I think more likely to get the submission. But, sorry about that, I don't really like it. I really, really do not very much like it. Plus 200, minus 140, plus 500. I don't really like any of that one. The only thing I would do once the odds come out is going to be the over 1.5 rounds. Actually, kind of makes a little bit of sense now. At minus 150. If you can get anything better than minus 150, very, very nice. Very, very nice in my opinion. And Makwan Amirkhani, if you're looking at when he gets finished, late second round, beginning of the second round, but that's Lerone Murphy. Third round, decision. So, over 1.5, I believe, does have value, and that's all I would do. I wouldn't parlay Jack Shore. I don't like those odds. No underdog bet on Makwan. No scorecards, no action. Over 1.5 is actually looking pretty okay, in my opinion. Next one, Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze in the middleweight division. Money line, no. Prop, yes. Fight goes to a decision. I think these guys are unfinishable. I'm gonna be dead honest. I could, y'all could be watching this video after the fight card has happened, and you see Marvin Vettori knock out Roman Dolidze. You see Roman Dolidze knock out Marvin Vettori. Very, very nice. That is a very, very high probability. And that very well could happen at UFC 286. But I'm really not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. I think this fight going to a decision is one of the most likely fights on the card to go to a decision. Neither man has ever been finished. Vettori gets decision after decision after decision after decision over and over and over again. The only guy with some real finishing ability is Roman Dolidze. And Marvin Vettori's got a chin like freaking iron. I don't know. Minus 115, minus 120 for Vettori by decision. No, I'd rather just take a little bit of extra just in case Roman Dolidze gets it. Minus 168. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. That's a decent bet right there. Minus 168 for it to go all the way. There's some good value on that one. And I didn't even see it, but there is more odds on this one than there are on most of the other ones. So we are going to refresh on this UFC 286. Let's go down a little bit. Vettori's scorecard is no action. I'm going to be honest with you. I do believe Dolidze actually has more of a chance to get the finish. I would agree with the betting odds. They started plus money for Dolidze, which I probably would have put a little bit of a sprinkle on Roman, because Roman's never been finished, and he's a lot more finishing ability than Marvin Vettori. Either fighter by TKO, submission. Come on. Really? Alright. What did we have? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Fight goes to decision is all that really looks good. And Marvin Vettori money line, I don't have to tell you. No, those are not good odds for Marvin Vettori. Next fight, Jennifer Maia, Casey O'Neill. Yeah, Casey O'Neill is not to be bet with. On the money line, minus 180 is not good. Fight goes to a decision at minus 260 is also not good. Casey O'Neill is a finisher. TKO, submission, TKO. There's a very good shot she could find a way to muster up a finish. And you know veterans, they're always very live for that finish as well. So no, we're not doing anything with fight goes to a decision or doesn't. Whatever the case may be. O'Neill TKO, any of these props, none of them really look good in my opinion. Maia by decision at plus 225 and O'Neill by decision at plus 125. That's about it. That is literally it. It's not something I want to moneyline Casey O'Neill. There's really not enough value there. But I think a little bit more than 50% of the time, O'Neill wins the decision. Jennifer Maia probably wins the decision about 45% of the time as well. So I think this is a very 50-50 fight. I said it's going to be one of the closest fights on the card. Split decision type of one. So O'Neill by decision at plus 125. Even if there is, I don't think they show it just yet, because they're not showing the DraftKings odds anymore for some reason. But usually DraftKings has the split decision odds, which has some value, but plus 125 or pass, there's not really anything there on Casey's money line, and she's not finishing Jennifer Maia. I'm going to say that right now. Manon Fiora wasn't able to. Caitlin Chukagian, Shevchenko, Chukagian, Carmouche, Deanna Bennett, Leslie Smith, Vanessa Porto, and only Sheila Gaff. Way long time ago. Come on, no finish. Casey O'Neill by decision. Next one, Gunnar Nelson and Brian Bam Bam Barberina in the welterweight division. Do I have Gunnar Nelson winning by submission early on in the fight or by a unanimous decision? So it's really whichever one has more value. And that is definitely going to be the decision. Now you might be thinking, oh, Gunnar is going to easily get the submission, man. No, he didn't get a submission in his last fight. That one was a unanimous decision, and you could be also saying Brian just got rear-nakeded by Javier Dos Anjos. So, well, Gunnar Nelson should be able to rear-naked him as well. He's very good at grappling. I don't think so. I do not think so. I think the odds right here that they have plus 162 to go to a decision, personally, I think that should be plus 100. I think that should be a lot closer. And plus 100 for Nelson by submission, I think that should be like plus 200, plus 210, 220. somewhere around that range, whereas what I also think Gunnar Nelson by decision should be around that range as well, maybe a little bit higher at plus 150, somewhere around that range, because I do believe it's very close on if he gets a decision or if he gets a submission. So I kind of went into this one thinking whichever one has the better odds probably is going to be the more valuable bet. Plus 240 for Gunnar Nelson by decision compared to plus 100 for Gunnar Nelson by submission, when I'm pretty even on going back and forth on submission decision for Gunnar Nelson. I think it's very, very close on either way for that bet. So a little bit of a sprinkle on Gunnar Nelson by a decision, or you don't bet the fight. That's pretty much it. That's all I gotta say. Gunnar Nelson by decision, or you just don't bet the fight. That's pretty much it for that one. Next one is Gunnar Nelson. I'm just kidding. Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev in the UFC's lightweight division. Now this is very, very, very interesting because Rafael Fiziev is a lot better of a striker, technically, than Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje hits a little bit harder, a little bit more reckless, but it depends on how reckless, because there's a point. If he goes out there and is super, super reckless, he might get the KO. But he also might get KO'd being super, super reckless as well. It's very tough. It's very, very tough to see if Gaethje is going to go out there and make this an all-out war. Because personally, I had Justin Gaethje by decision against Michael Chandler. Now he's fighting Rafael Fiziev. And I'm going to be dead honest with y'all. Gaethje decision looking like a little bit of a sprinkle. I don't like the odds on the money line for Rafael Fiziev. Minus 245, minus 220, whatever the case may be. I don't think it really has enough value. Over 1.5 rounds is decent. I think once he gets to round 2 is where there really is going to be danger on someone getting a finish. But that's only minus 250, not a lot there. I don't really like that type of stuff on this fight. But Gaethje by decision and what I'm expecting to be a very hard-fought decision between Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje that I do believe Fiziev will slightly out-edge. Plus 750, man. It's a little bit too juicy for my opinion. Gaethje wins in round 1 is plus 650. Decision is plus 750. You see where I'm going with this? That's value. That is very, very much value. Again, my prediction was Fiziev 29-28 decision. But if it's that close of a fight where Gaethje is winning one of the rounds, he could possibly steal another. Plus 750 is value on Justin Gaethje, and that's about it. That's all I would do, is put a little bit of a sprinkle on that one. Little bit of a sprinkle on Gaethje by decision. And I'm assuming, yeah, Fiziev scorecards, no actions, a little bit too much right there. Minus 200 is a bit bloated, but I guess it makes sense. Next one we have is Usman versus Leon Edwards. First thing is first, money line is underdog or pass. Plus 210 for Leon Edwards is the bet to make if you're betting the money line. No way, Jose, should you go out there and put Kamaru Usman in a parlay. It is not something you should do. Please don't do it. I guarantee you he might win. He might go out there and get the decision. He might KO Leon. I don't know. It's not the bet to make. That is not a very valuable bet, in my opinion. Usman by decision, which is pretty much what he was going to get last time, and was the bet I had last time. It's kind of lost its value. Plus 120, even plus 100 right there. Not good. Come on, that's not enough to get me out of bed and bet on that one. The only thing to do, Edwards decision, or, hear me out, you do a little bit of a mixture here. You put, let's just say, for example, a unit on Leon Edwards by a decision at plus 525. He was even like plus 625 yesterday. And more than that, you put a unit on Leon Edwards wins by decision. And you also hedge that hedge it. Let's go down here. With Leon Edwards, scorecards, no action. In case Kamaru Usman's chin is done. His chin is absolutely freaking done. Well, then he's going to get the KO TKO, and we get our money refunded because we bet on Edwards scorecards no action, and we bet on the decision. We get our money back. But if Usman has a good chin, and the fight goes all the way, well, then we lose a unit on that decision bet. But if he wins, we're going to be profiting about 5 units on something that realistically, Edwards by decision should probably be like in the plus 200s, 220, 230, 240, 250. Somewhere around that range. So Edwards scorecards no action. I'm definitely considering putting a little bit on that one. And then a little bit of a sprinkle on Edwards by decision. The only 3 times that Kamaru Usman has lost in MMA right there. The only 2 times he's ever lost in his professional MMA career were by finish. Leon Edwards, on the other hand, decision, and then an illegal knee early on in his career. He's never been finished. So I think the inside the distance scorecards no action has value, and then the decision prop on Leon also has value. That is it for the betting breakdown. If you want a little bit of a parlay to make on this fight card, we'll give you one really quickly here. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. We'll say over 2.5 rounds at minus 400. We're gonna make it a little bit of a juicy parlay. This is just a pretty okay parlay you can do on here. Not my favorite parlay, but a pretty decent one. A very, very decent one in my opinion. Marvin Vettori fight goes to a decision. Come on, that fight's going all the way. Jack Shore, Chris Duncan, Mohamed Mokayev, Lerone Murphy, Jake Hadley, and then we're going to add Christian Leroy Duncan as well for a pretty okay parlay of Usman Edwards goes over half the fight. Vettori versus the Lee J goes to a decision, and Leroy Duncan for plus 176. Some odds will have better odds, some odds will have worse. Some bookies, I mean. But those are the betting breakdowns for every fight at UFC 286. Make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to go down and click the top link in the description down below or in the pinned comment down below to see all of the bets that I make and to get early access to my live streams where I make these betting breakdown predictions early for the channel members. Make sure to like and subscribe like I said, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. We might do that one tomorrow. I don't know. But we got to do the underdog of the card. UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman. Underdog of the card. Now, first thing is first. It is based on value. I don't just go on and say what underdog I think has the most chance of going out there and winning. In that case, I might go Jennifer Maia maybe, Leon Edwards maybe, someone like that. But out of every single fight on this card, I have to go with the fight I think has the most value as an underdog on the entire card. Now, we're going to start from the bottom, work our way to the top, and look at the valuable odds that potentially some of these underdogs could have. Veronica Macedo or Veronica Hardy definitely has value. Money line wise, that is a dog or pass. Personally, it's a pass for me. But I don't believe Macedo is the best underdog on this card. Ludovic Klein taking on Jai Herbert. Jai's odds money line wise have value again. I mean, most of the underdogs on this card do have value on their plus money, but Jai Herbert is very inconsistent. His chin really is not that good. Ludovic throws a little bit more volume. I wouldn't really peg him as the underdog of the card either. Dusko Todorovic, I feel very good on Christian Leroy Duncan, so no. Joanne Wood probably has one of the best odds in terms of the favorites on this UFC pay-per-view, so no. Luana Carolina will not be. Malcolm Gordon is definitely in contention. We're going to talk about him again because he's going to be in our final 3 of best underdogs of the card. Malcolm Gordon is super, super valuable. Gabriel Santos, Lerone Murphy is a very, very close fight. And again, Gabriel has the value in this instance. It's not a fight you want to money line the favorite in, but he's not going to be in my 3 there. Jafel Filio, yes, he's got okay odds, but he's not going to be there either. Chris Duncan, now that is going to be in the 3. That is definitely going to be in the 3. He's going to be in the 4. He's my number 4 guy, actually. So we're going to move Chris Duncan out of there. But Chris Duncan is a good underdog to have at UFC 286. He's my 4th best underdog, in my opinion. Yanala Shmaz is who I was forgetting. Is a super, super valuable underdog on this card. My 3rd most valuable underdog on the entire card is going to be Yanala Shmaz. But he's not going to be my number 1. Number 2 is going to be who I'm going to talk about later, or Malcolm Gordon. Jennifer Maia, she definitely has a lot of value as well. She's my number 4 or number 5. She's kind of right around the range of kind of like a Gabriel Santos, of a Chris Duncan. He's right around that type of range, but not really that high up. Roman Dolidze also has some good value as well, right around that Chris Duncan range as well, in my opinion, but he's not at the top of the list. Brian Barberina, nope, he's not going to be there. Justin Gaethje is another very high-level underdog in the card, but he's going to be one of those mid-tier underdogs for these UFC 286 pay-per-view. That leaves us the last one. Leon Rocky Edwards, the underdog of the card, or is it Malcolm Gordon? Comes down to those two, in my opinion. I feel very decently about a lot of the other fighters on this card. Jake Hadley and Kamaru Usman, I'm not very, very confident in. Those underdogs, Edwards and Malcolm Gordon, have a lot of value. But thinking about it, I'm going to go with my underdog of the card between Malcolm Gordon and Leon Edwards. I'm going to go with Leon Rocky Edwards as my underdog of the card. Number 1 most valuable bet at plus 210 on the money line. The odds should probably be almost a 50-50 in my opinion. Pretty close on the betting odds, but they are not. They are pretty heavily skewed towards Kamaru Usman. Number 2 is definitely going to be Malcolm Gordon, as those are some crazy plus money odds. Number 3, Yanal Ashmoz. And number 4 is tied with so many people. You got Justin Gaethje there. You got Roman Dolidze there. You got Chris Duncan with you. Gabriel Santos with you. Got a lot of, even Veronica Macedo could be there. But those top 3 in Yanal Ashmoz, and Malcolm Gordon and Leon Edwards definitely have a lot of value for this UFC 286 card. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me having Leon Edwards as my number 1 most valuable underdog of the card? Put your thoughts down below and put your best underdog in the comments. Like and subscribe. All of my bets are in the description down below, or they're in that pinned comment down below as well. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. And now for the MMA news. In boxing, Canelo Alvarez defending his title against John Ryder in his first Mexico fight in more than a decade. That's a very solid fight. I do believe Canelo will win in the later rounds of the TKO or with a decision. But next one we got is Miranda Maverick. So we'll find it. Miranda Maverick Tapology. We're going to give our early prediction for this fight in the UFC's strawweight division. Alright, is this a flyweight division or strawweight division? It is the flyweight division. Jasmine Jasudavicius and Miranda Maverick in the flyweight division just got announced for UFC 289 as the only fight at UFC 289 on June 10th. Personally, it's going to be a close fight. Miranda is younger. She has more experience, coming off of 2 wins on Shayna Young and Sabina Mazo, where she looked very good in both fights. did lose to Macy Barber as well as Aaron Blanchfield, but you gotta think the Macy Barber fight was a little bit of a robbery, and then the Aaron Blanchfield fight, again, she lost a decision to Aaron Blanchfield, who after that win over Moran the Maverick, just absolutely destroyed and got a submission over JJ Aldrich, got the submission on Molly McCann, and got the submission on Jessica Andrade, showing just how good Miranda Maverick is, leading me to believe that Miranda should keep this one very even on the feet and out-wrestle Jasmine to a most likely Miranda Maverick unanimous decision. Put your predictions down below. It's a good fight, though. Next one. In boxing, that is absolutely insane. Darren Till, the Gorilla Killer Till. Then we got, this is so sad that I'm actually reporting on this, but I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We go on to the middleweight division. Darren Till and Logan Paul. Fight is being rumored for later this year as a boxing match. Darren Till, as we heard, recently left the UFC to have a few boxing fights. A BKFC fight with Mike Perry as well, possibly. He has been looking at that as a potential avenue as a future fight outside of the UFC. But one of the most recent things of Darren Till's departure with the UFC was a potential match with Logan Paul. Later this year, Logan Paul lost to KSI, and then he had that loss to Floyd Mayweather. Now, he wants to fight a very, very legit boxer in the UFC, and Darren Till, at 30 years old, who beat Kelvin Gastelum, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, knocked out Donald Cerrone, and got many other very solid wins on the regional scene. Personally, come on, guys, I think Darren Till would get the win. But what do y'all think? If this fight gets made, who wins? And do you actually think the fight's going to get made? Darren Till, Logan Paul, put your thoughts down below. Jones versus Miocic. I don't think they have it at UFC 290. UFC 290. Tapology. Let me see, just to see. Event. They haven't put anything out for UFC 290 just yet. UFC 289 taking place on June 10th. William Knight coming back. Justin Gaethje's bound to be fight of the year at UFC 286 in the UFC's lightweight division. I'm trying to get into it. Guys, dang tapology in the lightweight division. Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev to be the fight of the year, according to Justin Gaethje. Come on, guys. Is that even a question of this fight in contention to be fight of the year? For sure. I believe this is going to be a 3-round absolute back and forth freaking war in the lightweight division. Michael Chandler fight was an absolute banger. The Tony Ferguson fight, even the fights he's winning early on in round number 1 are absolute freaking bangers. Even the Charles Oliveira loss that he ended up losing just 3 minutes in, that was a banger. I mean, no matter how long this fight goes, it is 100% going to be in contention for best fight of the year. If not at least best fight of the month of March. What do y'all think? Is Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev the fight of the year? Put your thoughts down below. Who wins and why? Next one in a boxing over here. Let's go back over to Darren Till in the middleweight division. Darren Till says he will fight Mike Perry if the BKFC gives him an astronomical offer. He will go over and fight bare knuckle against the greatest African mixed martial arts and bare knuckle fighter the world has ever seen in Mike freaking Perry. And my gosh, do I want to see that fight, because Mike Perry just beat Michael Venom Page in a BKFC fight. And Michael Venom Page is a very, very legit striker. So is Darren Till. I really want to see this fight. Darren Till, Mike Perry in bare knuckle boxing. Who wins? Put your thoughts down below. It's a solid fight. Next one. In the UFC's flyweight division, we go Mohamed Mokaev. In the flyweight division, Mohamed Mokaev reveals his plan to become the youngest UFC champion in UFC history. Now, this is the plan. Let's click on this link. He says he's going to go out and beat Jafel Filio at UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman. It's obviously the first step in the kind of plan to become the youngest UFC champion. Then he wants to beat a ranked opponent at UFC 290 later this year on International Fight Week. Then fight on the Abu Dhabi card, which is rumored to be in August or October or September, one of those months later this year as well, and is most likely to be headlined with Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush, or Islam versus someone else, maybe Rafael Fiziev. He wants to be on that card and fight a ranked opponent, then fight in a title eliminator fight, maybe Kai Kara France, Mateusz Nicolau, Alexandre Pantoja, whoever the case may be, and then fight for the title before March of 2024. Do you guys believe the undefeated 8-0 pro, 23-0 amateur Mohamed Mokaev will become UFC champ? Put your thoughts down below. Next one in the middleweight division, Marvin Vettori still has his eye on another belt inside of the UFC. He said, I'm still running after the title. Don't get me wrong. Don't count me out. I'm still in the top 5. I'm one of the youngest inside of this division, and I'm coming for everything. I already faced everybody in the division and can't wait to just put it on Roman Dolidze. I really want to finish, and we go from there. The man is only 29 years old. Do you believe he has another run at the title in him? He is one of the youngest guys in the division, behind only who was it? Drico Duplessis, Nasruddin Imavov, and I believe one other guy, but he's top 3 on youngest fighters inside of the division, and he's very high. The only 20-year-old fighter that is inside of the top 5, so it's very likely, very possible, he could work his way up to another title fight. Well, who do you think he wins this Saturday against Roman Dolidze? And does he fight for the belt? And does he win for the belt? Put your thoughts down below. Next one inside of the UFC middleweight division, Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. In the middleweight division, Strickland is getting fed up with Paulo Costa not signing his final UFC fight on the contract against Sean Strickland. I mean, Paulo's calling out Hamzat. I mean, he's calling out so many random people, but he still has that one fight left on his contract. He's got to accept a fight soon if he wants to get out of the UFC, go over to boxing, fight Logan Paul, Jake Paul, whoever wants to fight outside the UFC, even go to the PFL if he wants. He needs one more fight in the UFC, and Sean Strickland wants it. And I want it. Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa, main event of a UFC fight night would be an absolute banger. 5 rounds. I mean, the trash talk would be good. The press conference would be good. I like the sound of this fight, but what do y'all think? Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Should the fight get made? And who wins? Put your thoughts down below. I think Sean Strickland. I think Sean would win a very close decision. It is a close fight, though. Put your thoughts down below. Next one in the UFC's lightweight division, Islam Makhachev not going to be fighting for a little while now, as he's going to be taking a little break, as the UFC told him to take a little bit of a break, because they want him on Abu Dhabi card later this year after the summer, which means August, September, October of 2024. It is currently March. We still have March, April, May, June, July, August. 5, 6, or 7 months until a potential return for Islam Makhachev in the UFC's lightweight division. But I'd have to say it does make sense, as we still have Beneil Dariush fighting later on this year against Charles Oliveira, and he definitely deserves a title shot. if he is able to win that fight. Rafael Fiziev, if he beats Justin Gaethje, he's going to be very close in line for a title fight as well, and he's fighting this weekend. So you got to give those guys time for them to actually fight for the belt later this year, and that does make sense for an Abu Dhabi card in August or September. It's probably going to be the main event, but who do y'all think it's going to be? Islam versus Rafael Fiziev, Islam versus Beneil Dariush, or possibly some other contender we don't even know about? Put your thoughts down below. Next one in the flyweight division, Tim Elliott and Alan Nascimento in the UFC's flyweight division. If we go on to the UFC rankings, it's just got announced, I believe, for June 3rd's UFC Fight Nights. Right now, Tim Elliott is at number 11 on the rankings, and Alan Nascimento should probably be ranked inside of the top 15, but he isn't, because I think he's actually going to win this fight against Tim Elliott by a decision, but it is a solid one. Tim Elliott, a veteran of the UFC's flyweight division, has been in for such a long time, and Alan Nascimento, a good up-and-comer, looking to build his name in this division. I think Alan Nascimento keeps the striking even, lands a few takedowns, lands a few harder shots here and there, and squeaks out a very close 29-28 decision. Very close fight. Who do y'all think wins and how? Put your thoughts down below. Next one. In, I believe, the flyweight division, Nali Yang and Brogan Walker was set for Marlon Chilo Vera, Corey Sandhagen UFC Fight Night, but Nali Yang has withdrew from the UFC Fight Night for, I'm not really too for what reasons she has withdrawn from the fight. Not too sure if Brogan Walker is going to get a replacement as of right now. We'll probably hear about that in the next coming days. But as of right now, this fight is off the card. Now we are set with 14 fights at UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen. I had Brogan Walker winning that fight inside the distance. But put your thoughts down below on who would have won and who should replace Nali Yang if they do replace her. Put your thoughts down below. Next one in the middleweight division, Marvin Vettori, who's fighting Roman Dolidze later this weekend in a fight I think he wins by decision, predicted Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya quadrilogy, the fourth fight. And he says Vettori said he has Alex winning easier than he did in the past 3 fights. He KO'd him twice and got a decision in the other one. Marvin Vettori thinks this is going to be the easiest win against Israel Adesanya for Alex Pereira to date. Put your thoughts down below. Do you agree with Marvin Vettori? Does Pereira again be the underdog and win against Israel Adesanya? Put your thoughts down below. Next one. In the welterweight division, Leon Edwards plans to retire Kamaru Usman this weekend in the main event of UFC 286. He said he's going to open the door to retirement for Kamaru Usman, KOing him. And at that point, if Usman does get KO, does get submitted, does get finished, what else is there? He's going to have to work himself back up, win 1 fight, win 2 fights, and then maybe get another title fight. He might never get a title fight again, so honestly, if he does lose against Leon Edwards, he might actually have to retire. So I would agree, if Leon Edwards wins, I believe Kamaru Usman will retire from MMA. But what do y'all think? Does Usman retire should he lose? But does he actually lose? I don't think so. Put your thoughts down below. Next one in the middleweight division, Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze is going to happen this weekend in a pretty high-ranked fight in the middleweight division. Roman said if he's able to win against Marvin Vettori, he would deserve the title shot against the winner of Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. I disagree. Robert Whittaker already beat Marvin Vettori, so Roman Dolidze should fight Robert Whittaker. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about that, though? Does Roman deserve the title shot, or should he fight one more guy? Maybe Jerry Cannonier, Robert Whittaker, or someone else in the middleweight division? Should he win? I don't think he wins, but put your thoughts down below. Next one. In the lightweight division, Renato Moicano and Arman Tsarukyan sets as the April 29th main event in the lightweight division. 5 rounds of amazing high-level action. The number 8 contender, Arman Tsarukyan, and then the number 13 contender, Renato Moicano, which means Arman is going below the rankings. He just beat Damir Ismagulov, and now is going even lower to fight Renato Moicano. Absolutely insane. I do believe he wins the fight, though. Arman Tsarukyan is the better wrestler. He is the better grappler. He is the better striker. I believe all around, Arman Tsarukyan is just the much better fighter. But we got main event Money Moicano in the building. I hope Money Moicano gets the dub. That'd be absolutely insane. Putting him in the top 10, potentially to fight Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Poirier, Oliveira. I mean, there's some huge fights for him. Either way, there's some huge fights for the winner of Moicano versus Tsarukyan. But I got Tsarukyan. Let's go with the late finish. Let's go Arman Tsarukyan, round 3 or round 4 finish. Put your thoughts down below. Who do you think wins and why? It's a good fight. Next one. Inside of the UFC's heavyweight division, UFC 290 main card, International Fight Week. We already know. Dana said it. Jones has said it. Stipe have said it. They all want this as the main event. Jones versus Miocic. UFC 290 main event. That's going to happen. Unless some crazy happens, that is going to be the main event of UFC 290. Volkanovski Rodriguez is already being sent contracts to both of those guys as the co-main events of that UFC pay-per-view, so I do believe that is what's going to happen. It is verbally agreed, and they're about to get signed. That'll be a good fight for the card. We got Ferguson versus Lee, a former interim title championship fight where Ferguson won. That'll be a good one on that card as well. Topuria versus Evloev is also verbally agreed and in the works. None of those two fights are actually official, just like Bo Nickel and Tresean Gore, but those are all potential fights to happen at UFC 290 on the main card. Maybe one of them will move to the prelims, but you never know. What do y'all think about this potential UFC 290 main card? Jones, Miocic, Volkanovski, Rodriguez, Ferguson, Lee, Topuria, Evloev, and Nickel Gore. Put your thoughts down below. Personally, that's a gosh dang banger. Next one. In the strawweight division, Emily DeCote and Polyana Viana is going to be scheduled for April 29th UFC Fight Night via AG Fights. And Big Marcel, personally, the grappling leans towards Polyana Viana, the power leans Polyana, the kicking game leans Emily DeCote. Should be a close back and forth battle between these two girls. And I'm going to lean Polyana Viana to edge it out with a 29-28 decision. But what do y'all think about the number 14th ranked Emily DeCote in this UFC division? And what do y'all think? Who wins this fight and why? Put your thoughts down below. Was she number 14? Or am I wrong about that one? I thought she was at one point, but I guess they moved her out of the UFC rankings. Never mind, they're both unranked now in the UFC. Polyana Viana's not ranked either, so maybe the winner of this fight could get an opportunity to fight inside that top 15. I lean Polyana Viana, but put your thoughts down below. And that is about it. Thank you guys for watching today's live stream. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We're going to edit those ones later on.